Hi, for this theory competency video, I'm focusing on chapter 18, which deals with the symbolic convergence theory. This theory was originally created by Ernest Borman. However, though, it was expanded upon Robert Bale's work. Robert Bale studied small group interaction and wanted to really focus on how small groups are, how the relationships are expanded upon and gained and furthered by the stories they tell each other. Bales decided that dramatizing was an important part of communication that led to group cohesiveness. What he means by dramatizing, and this is really the essential part of the theory, what a dramatizing message is. It's imaginative language used by someone in a group describing past, current, or future events. It can be used with really any type of figure of speech. Um, but it can be a pun, a metaphor, a simile, an allegory, an analogy. It can be a wide variety of things that makes up a dramatizing message. But it's basically does with the embellishment of stories that people tell each other, and that's kind of the key term of the theory. Um, no matter the form of a dramatizing message, it always is describing an event that is not happening, or, right then. It's describing almost an abstract thought, and it's really dealing with the embellishment of those stories and the impact that has within a group. Um, I have a few thoughts on this theory. I think this theory is very important because it deals with all group interaction. Group interaction is a massive part of the lives that we live, the social worlds that we all belong in. It's an inescapable part of communication, and it really dictates many of the lives that people live. Whether it's from the early part of education, even starting elementary school, all the way up through middle school, through high school, to the highest levels of education, through college, and even advanced programs that people do that. Their um, group interaction is an unavoidable fact of the lives that we live. Moving on into the workplace, and even in the hobbies that people have where they meet other people, whether it be through working out together, going to movies or shows or concerts or anything together. A wide variety, or a large part of the interaction that all human beings have is in a group setting. And this theory really deals with how the embellishment and the descriptive terms used to describe the stories and thoughts that are going on in people's lives, how that impacts relationships within a group. Because these stories really help form and grow relationships, and everyone thrives to have successful relationships, whether that be romantically or friendship wise or just with your family. Regardless, group setting relationships is a crucial part of everyone's life. One of my main critiques of this theory is that it just deals with the implications of why people do this, which is obviously incredibly important. The implications of why people say the things that they do, why they embellish and dramatize certain messages in their stories. It's an important thing to understand the implications of all of that. But I don't really understand why it doesn't talk about why people do that. I think for it to be a fully complete theory, then it would have to go into why people do this and have this behavior. But I don't think it takes away too much from the theory, because I think the theory stands on its own, and just in its level of importance. Um, Group interaction is something that everyone feels it's a vital part of a communication, and just how people interact. What I really think is interesting about this theory is dealing with the group cohesiveness. Everyone's been in a situation where you've been in a group, whether it's been in camp, as the example the book suggested, or in a team sport, or just a group through friends that you made, where someone says, a random story or random thought about something, and even if it's unique, and their story doesn't even necessarily have to hold up to the greatest values. It can just be telling any type of story that can so often lead to further responses from the other people in the group that continue the conversation further, where you are, without even attempting to, finding out more information about each other, and not just the stories that you've been through, but how you dealt with them and how you felt with them. I think that's the biggest part of this theory, is that how people explain their stories inadvertently gives more information about them, and then the responses they get from their peers inadvertently gives more information about the peer as well. That's the reason I chose this theory, because I think it's evident in almost every aspect of life, and that's why I chose it. It's a really important theory in communication. I'm sure it will always be studied, and yeah, thank you.